Hello everyone, and welcome back for another edition of the Money Pros. I'm Oliver Tutt, Certified Financial Planner Practitioner, and I'll be your host for the next half hour as we talk about all the issues related to your money, how to make it, how to keep it, and hopefully how to help it grow. So we've got a lot to get to on today's show, so as usual, let me give you a rundown on what we're going to be talking about. First off, some good news for a change for retirement savers. The IRS has announced some changes to the limits on contributions to retirement plans, so some more opportunities to stuff more cash in that retirement fund going forward. We'll cover the details on that. Then we have a special guest joining us, Laura Salamano. She's the Chief Marketing Officer for Rhode Island Commerce Corporation. She's our second guest from Rhode Island Commerce Corporation this season. We're happy to have another representative. We're going to be talking about some of the state's efforts to develop economies around tourism here in the state. So that's going to be the subject of our conversation in the second segment. And then finally, we talk a lot about the cost of college education, the impact of borrowing for that education, and we've focused a lot on student loans and how much students owe when they graduate from college. But students aren't the only ones that owe a lot of money. The parents are starting to owe a lot of money too. So we're going to talk a little bit about some new figures that just came across my desk. So we've got a lot to touch on in today's show. So let's jump into it with the good news from the Internal Revenue Service. So they announced recently, as they do from time to time, that the limits on contributions to various retirement plans will be increasing for 2019. So keep in mind, this is 2019. This isn't going to be applicable until next year. And if you're one of those folks that makes an IRA contribution right at tax time, this isn't going to apply to you in April because that's based on the 2018 limits. But this is an opportunity to put money away going forward 2019 forward, and it gives you an opportunity to put more money away, which obviously has a lot of benefits. So let's talk about some of those changes. I put together a slide to kind of summarize, and there are a lot of changes. So this is just a small summary of some of the most salient ones. So let's put that up on the screen. And what I've got there is two columns: the current 2018 limit, which applies to contributions for this year, and then what the limit is being changed to for 2019. So for retirement plans, things like 403Bs, 401Ks, 457 plans that you participate in your workplace, the employee limit currently in 2018 is $18,500. That is actually moving up by $500 to $19,000. And as usual, if you're 50 or older, you actually have the opportunity to put even more money in. Currently, those 50 and older can put in $24,500. That limit is moving up to $25,000. So significant amounts of money that you are able to put into an employer-based retirement plan. Now, for those of you that use IRAs, the current limit to contribute to an IRA is $5,500, and that'll be what you do if you make a 2018 contribution, even right up to the tax deadline in April of next year. However, that limit is going up for 2019. The 2019 limit is becoming $6,000. And similarly to employer-based retirement plans where those 50 and older have an additional catch-up contribution they can make, that's also the case with IRAs. So those 50 and older currently can put in $6,500, and that limit is moving to $7,000 for 2019. So some important points to make here. One is that while the retirement contribution limit for IRAs, or excuse me, for employer-based retirement plans has gone up on a regular basis, it's been a little while since it's gone up for IRAs. So this is a great opportunity to stuff money in an IRA. And keep in mind, even if you're not eligible for a tax deduction, you can still put money in an IRA and take advantage of the tax deferral no matter how much money you make. So it's a great opportunity. Some other things of note with this: total contribution limits for 401Ks, so not just the employee's contribution, but the employer piece, have also been contributed. So the total limit, which is now currently $56,000 in 2018, is going up to, is $55,000. It's actually going up to $56,000. There's also a variety of other changes that you might want to talk to your tax advisor about: increased phase-out ranges for spousal and Roth IRA eligibility, as well as eligibility phase-outs for the savers credit for low-income savers who put money in a retirement plan. So some good news coming down the pike, more opportunity for you to put money away for your retirement. All right, up next we're going to be talking to Laura Salamano with Rhode Island Commerce Corp. Stay with us, there's more to come. Welcome back to the Money Pros. I'm joined now by a special guest. She's Laura Salamano, from Chief Marketing Officer from Rhode Island Commerce Corp. Thank you for joining us on the show. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Oliver.
You're our second guest from Rhode Island Commerce, and some people might wonder, why is Rhode Island Commerce appearing on the Money Pros? Well, commerce and money obviously go hand in hand, but I think it's fair to say that the economic well-being of Rhode Islanders depends on a thriving Rhode Island economy. So while it may be a tangential relationship, I think it's an important one. So we're happy to have you guys here.
Thank you so much.
We could talk about a lot of stuff. I've heard a couple of different presentations from people at Rhode Island Commerce, and the number of programs you have available for businesses, both large and small, is frankly, it's overwhelming. I think that's one of the complaints sometimes you probably get, is there's just so much you can do. It's figuring it all out. So we're going to narrow down our topic range, I think, a little bit today, and talk about the economics surrounding tourism here in the Ocean State. So before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about Rhode Island Commerce? What kind of organization is it? What's it? What does it do? How does it fit into the state's economic plan?
Sure. So we are the economic development agency for Rhode Island. And tourism sits within commerce because obviously we're an economic engine in Rhode Island. And so commerce, there are about, I'd say, 75 employees. And I'd say the majority of those folks sit and talk with small businesses, how to help small businesses, how to work with our loan programs, how to work with our incentives. And then we've got a group that's business attraction, business development, and they work with the outside companies and the CEOs and those C-suite executives to lure them to come to the state to open a new business or to talk to businesses here that want to grow their businesses. So we have a large group that tackles those issues. We've got folks that deal with the incentives, how those work. We've got folks that deal with our loan programs. Obviously, we've got our own staffing administrators. And then we've got my department, which is called, we're the marketing group. So we're the marketing arm. Most of us deal with tourism, but then I also, under my wheelhouse, we talk about business attraction. So we support the folks that deal with the business development in order to market to those C-suite executives.
And despite not getting Amazon's second headquarters, we've had a huge amount of success here in the state with attracting not just the headquarters for corporations, but ancillary business units of larger organizations here to the state. So maybe you could just speak to that quickly, because I don't think a lot of people know about some of that. So we've helped or incented 29 companies to come to Rhode Island. So that means we've either grown companies here or attracted new companies. And we were just talking before the show. I mean, we've got really a great wealth here. We've got older companies. I mean, CVS. I mean, amazing. Hasbro, IGT. But we've got Virgin Pulse and GE and Johnson & Johnson and Infosys. So these are new companies that are coming and bringing new opportunities. And how we lure those companies, really, it is our talent. It is, we sell all of our amazing colleges and universities, our location. Incentive packages are very important to that too. And as you know, we have to do that. We look at, sort of best practices from other states, and we've got to do that in order to lure companies here. It's a state eat state world out there. We've got to be the big dogs on the block once in a while.
That's true.
So we want to talk about tourism. When you grow up in the state, and I believe you said you're from Rhode Island, I am as well, you can lose sight of what a destination it can be for people, whether it be vacation or conventions coming in or things like that, how attractive it is. But can you talk to us a little bit about how important tourism is as an economic engine in the state? How big of a deal really is it?
I would love to.
Okay.
Tourism is the 5th largest industry in the state. And I don't think people realize that. $6 billion to our local economy, tourism brings in. I mean, and this is everything from construction-related jobs. As you know, we've got 6 hotels that are opening in the next, couple of years here, 650 rooms. So it's everything, but $6 billion is a lot of revenue. 24 million visitors visit us each year. Again, it employs 89,000 employees. So huge economic engine for us.
And it has ancillary benefits because the businesses that develop around tourism spend their money in other industries, whether it be your accountant or food service providers, or the ripple effects seem to be far and wide when it comes to tourism. But what does your organization do to enhance that? Like, how do you make it better? How do you make people aware of it? What are the programs that you are operating to make it more well known?
So when I started about 2.5 years ago, and again, this changes with administrations, but there was about a $300,000 pool of money that sat in our organization. There was one guy. The governor, they enacted more money to come to Commerce so that we could actually drive this important engine for us. So we have about a little over a $5 million budget that sits within us. We have a number of people on the ground that help to support the marketing efforts as far as tourism is related. And we have done everything from, we had a very basic website, which in travel you can imagine that is critically important to have a robust website that you can go, you can plan trips, you can figure out, you know, what I'm really into culture, or I really love beaches, where do I go, where do I visit, what hotels do I stay in, how do I get around, what are the dynamics of the state, where are the restaurants that I go to. This is critical, and it is really important for us to capture that information. A visitor comes, they see our site, they plan a trip, we capture their information, then we can market to them again. So that was one of the first things that we did when I got in.
I don't mean to interrupt you here,
Please.
but that whole website thing really, it's a big deal,
Huge
right?
deal.
I mean,
Huge
people
deal.
that want to visit Rhode Island want to look at some central repository of information for what they can do, where they can stay, where they can eat, how they can get around.
What
all
events
of
are
those things.
happening. And so the site that we built, that was literally, I wasn't in the job a month, and that's what we did. We put out an RFP. That was the first thing that we did. And it pulls, it's a site that pulls from Providence, from Newport, from South County, so it pulls in all of these events. So we aggregate everything for the state. So it's one-stop shopping for the consumer to say, and again, this is the thing, you want to make it as easy as possible for a consumer to say, what do I do, where do I go, how do I do that? And so that was the first step. Then the next step was, okay, now we really need to market the state, market the site, let folks know that we're here. So we developed a campaign, and I'm sure you've seen it, Fun Size. What we realized, we did some research before we did it to understand who comes here and who doesn't come here. So the average visitor was a 55-year-old couple, and we realized we were really under-indexing with millennials. Our competitive states, millennials were coming. They were not visiting Rhode Island. So we said, we need to get those folks, into our web, but we also, we don't want to alienate, the older folks. We looked at what made people want to come to Rhode Island. Activities were huge. Clearly the beaches, we know summertime is big, but we also know that we're almost maximized in the summer. So we've got to really talk about our shoulder season. So we developed this campaign with all of that in mind, and these are 7.5 seconds, like tiny short videos that you can see when you're booking a trip on Orbitz.com. This will be playing, and again, it breaks through the clutter. I mean, when you're on a site like that, there's so much going on. You want something to break through the clutter. So we've built around 30 of these. They're everything from beaches to surfing to eating to music to a whole host of activities, because your vacation is your vacation. You may not be interested in a beach. A museum may be of interest to you. And so we've developed these, and we've seen incredible success with them.
So that was going to be my next question, which is, are there metrics that you can use to say, hey, this website and our efforts are actually paying off in terms of dollars in Rhode Island?
So the other thing that we did was, once we created these, we started what's called Adara tracking. So this is a tracking system where we pixel these ads. So very big brother, but we pixel them. We see that you have clicked on this ad, you've come to our website, and we can tell that you've booked a hotel room and that you've booked a flight to Rhode Island.
Okay, very cool,
Yeah.
very creepy, but good, okay.
We don't know who you are, we don't know your credit card information.
But you know the people and the demographics.
We know that we've invested, we know that we're seeing a 4-to-1 return on our investment.
Wow.
So we know, we've seen about $3.2 million in hotel revenue, and that's only what we're pixeling. So we are also doing doing TV ads and print ads and other ads that people we don't know if they've actually clicked. So this is just a small portion of our investment. We know we're seeing 4-to-1 on our overall.
So about 90 seconds left. Can you highlight for us, let's just end with some good news, positive impacts you've seen, whether it's been projects that are taking place in Rhode Island or groups or volumes of people that are coming to Rhode Island, but positive impacts that you've seen since some of these programs have been in place?
So we saw this year, in June, we had 15% growth over last June, year over year, 10% growth. That's incredible. So 24 million, visitors, 10% on top of that. And what we've seen is we know that we are seeing 3.6 million in revenue, and we know that that is only a quarter of what these folks will spend. So when they come, to your point, they're going to go eat at restaurants, they're going to go visit attractions. So we know that what we're doing is really working and bringing economic development to the state.
And you talked about 6 different hotel projects around the state.
Yes.
I know one of them that I'm following closely is down in Newport, the Hammond's Wharf project. I think they just had a soft groundbreaking. So it seems like tourism is really thriving in Rhode Island, and a lot of good things to help that continue.
Yeah, we're really excited, and we're all working well. Our regional partners are amazing, and our restaurant partners and our attractions, and we are all working really closely together to keep bringing this alive.
Well, if it's good for Rhode Island, it's good for people's pocketbooks, and then it's good for the audience for the Money Pros. So that's fantastic. Laura, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Oliver. Nice to be here.
All right, excellent. All right, when we come back, we're going to be talking about borrowing and how much parents are owing on their kids' college education. Stay with us. There's more to come. Welcome back to the Money Pros. We talked about some good news on the retirement savings front in the first segment. Now we're going to talk about some bad news on the college expense front in the third segment. Unfortunately, the two are somewhat tied together, as we're going to talk about in a few seconds here. But it's based on some new information that's come across my desk. It was some research done by the Brookings Institution after reviewing federal loan data, and they made a variety of determinations that I thought were interesting to share. So one of the things you have to know about student loans is they can be divided up in a lot of ways, but one way you can divide them up is by who takes out the loan. So most of the federal student loans that people are familiar with that are based on the FAFSA form and things along those lines, that's money borrowed by students. The students sign their name, the student owes the money, and that is the bulk of college borrowing. But there is a limit to how much a student can borrow for their own college education. And over 4 years, that limit is approximately $27,000. So it's not a small amount of money, but it's not a massive amount of money either. So there's another segment of college loans that parents become very familiar with as they have students that go off to college, and those are known as Federal Plus loans. And those are loans taken out by parents, not by students. And those have some very different criteria. They make up about 6% of outstanding student debt. So the bulk of the debt is borrowed by students. However, these loans being taken out by parents, the parents are actually able to borrow up to the total cost of attendance for the student. Now, in a universe where we're seeing college costs $75,000, $80,000 a year in some circumstances, that can mean that a 4-year education could be well over $300,000 by the time all is said and done. And parents via Plus loans can borrow virtually all of those funds. Also notable is that it's available to people, even those folks that have relatively poor credit. So these loans are made widely available to people, even with those that don't have a great record paying money back. And they don't have the same repayment options as the other type of student loan taken out by students. Principally, they don't have income-driven repayment options. So these work like your mortgage or your car payment. When it's time to pay, it's time to pay, and they don't base the payments on how much income the student is earning or anything like that. The other problem with these, and this gets to the tie-in to where it plays into retirement plans, is unlike when a student borrows and they're borrowing money at the beginning of their earning life cycle, they'll be working for another 25, 30 years in most cases. When parents are borrowing, they tend to be borrowing money at the end of their earning cycle. They may only be employed for another 5, 10, 15 years, depending on how old they are. So it's a significant demographic shift as well as the volume of money. So let's talk about some of the figures surrounding these. We'll throw up a slide really quickly and go through some of these. So here's the statistics according to Brookings Institution. The average borrowing per year by parents is $16,400. In 1990, by contrast, that was only $5,200. So that number has more than tripled. Next, average repayment. Now, that's the $16,400 is the average per year. Keep in mind that a 4-year education, parents are going to be borrowing each one of those years. So the average amount of debt at repayment is $38,800. Now, not only are parents borrowing a lot of money, they're having trouble paying it back. Next up, the 5-year default rate. The 5-year default rate is currently 11%. Back in the year 2000, that default rate was only 7%. So increasingly, parents are having trouble paying back these loans, according to Brookings Institution. And finally, the 5-year repayment amount, i.e. after 5 years of paying, how much is paid off? And the average is 36%. Going back to 2000, the average was over 56%. So not only are people having trouble paying these off, they're paying the loans back slower, they're borrowing more and more money, and the challenge here is that if parents are doing this to send their kids to the dream institution, they're not saving for retirement, and that is the challenge we face on two fronts. Definitely concerning. All right, up next, if you want to ask the Money Pros a question, we'll give you the details. Stay with us, there's more to come. Welcome back to the Money Pros. Do you have a question about your money? Well, if you do, we want to hear it. Take the opportunity to ask me or any of the other folks that appear on the Money Pros a question about your finances. There are 3 different ways you can get in touch with us. The best way is to visit us, Money Pros Facebook page. Like the page, you can follow our posts, but you can also post a question to us. You can also send us a private message if you don't want to share your question in public. You can, secondly, send us an email at moneypros@foxprovidence.com. Those emails come directly to me. And the third way, to visit foxprovidence.com, click on the Money Pros, and then click on Ask a Pro. So any of those ways will get a question to us. We answer all of our questions, and we may even answer your question on air. So take the opportunity. There's help out there, and we want to provide it to you. And if you have the question, somebody else does too. That's it for today's show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week right here on the Money Pros.